This is how to teach Chapter 2 of our Management for Church Leaders Volume Number 2 training. This chapter is on delegation and accountability. Purpose of this particular chapter is to link delegation with accountability. They go together and they provide a foundation for successful leadership. Again, you should take about an hour to teach this particular training, but remember to leave 10 minutes at the end for the exercise. The key points in this chapter are that delegation allows a leader to spread the work and responsibility to other people, so he doesn't have to do it all. Secondly, delegation is essential to developing other leaders. The way you develop leaders is by delegating responsibilities to them. Accountability is necessary for effective results. You never delegate without giving accountability. This is really a development process, why you would delegate and hold someone accountable. So accountability is necessary if you want to achieve some effectiveness and good results. And finally, communication is a key ingredient to delegation and accountability. Being able to communicate your objectives, communicate how the person is supposed to structure, communicating when there are deadlines to get things accomplished. This is all part of the process, and we talk about this in this chapter. Like the other chapters, we always begin with a scripture, and you read that scripture and you can unpack it a little bit. In the very first section, there's a paragraph that explains kind of what we're talking about in this chapter, and you can read that aloud or paraphrase it however you wish. And then we get in. This particular chapter is broken down into two sections. The first section is on delegation. Again, it begins with scripture and a definition. We talk about what delegation means. And we also have an introductory question here, which is, why should we delegate responsibility to others? Again, this is a way to get the discussion going, getting people to start thinking about what delegation means and what it is. Then we go in to talk about the purpose of delegation, and we share the 4 key reasons why you would delegate to other people. The next section then goes on to talk about the principles of delegation. We talk about some of the key principles to keep in mind when you delegate projects and responsibilities to other people. And then you can ask another question if you want to get further discussion. For example, in the manual we have, which of these principles is most important for you individually? And that's a way to get discussion started about the various principles for delegation and how to use them. Next, we talk about how to delegate properly. We give some principles and give some suggestions as to how to delegate projects and responsibilities to other people so that they get accomplished and get done. The second part of this chapter is on holding others accountable. It begins with a scripture and a definition about what accountability is. And like the first part of this chapter, you want to ask an introductory question about why we would want to hold other people accountable. This will help people start thinking about this issue of accountability and what it means, and the principles are going to be laid out in what's to come in this chapter. Secondly, we move on and we start talking about the principles of accountability. And I mentioned this earlier, but the key point here is you never delegate responsibility to someone without also holding them accountable. They go hand in hand. And then next we give 3 suggestions on accountability and about how to communicate what you want to have accomplished. Next, we move into the process of accountability, and we talk about goals and objectives, setting up a schedule for follow-up, and making sure you don't ever leave a person on their own too long, that you're always checking back with them and letting them know that you're interested in what they're doing and how they're doing it. Finally, there's an exercise here as well on delegation and accountability, and this is just an exercise. It's mostly designed for people who are already working in ministry, where they can list who they might give some responsibility. What are some projects or responsibilities they could delegate to someone else, and they can specify who that person is and how they intend to hold them accountable. Again, this exercise gives them an opportunity to practice the process of delegation and accountability. Thank you for watching this video on how to teach chapter number 2 from our Management for Church Leaders Volume number 2 training.